In the sweltering heat of Cross River State, a notorious figure emerged, striking fear into the hearts of residents. J-Boy, a ruthless Viking executioner, had earned a reputation for his brutal tactics and unrelenting pursuit of power. His reign of terror was most pronounced in Ugep, a community that cowered under the weight of his tyranny. As the Viking executioner in Ugep, J-Boy wielded immense influence, his name whispered in dread by the locals. His alleged involvement in a string of robberies had created an atmosphere of perpetual fear, with residents living on edge, never knowing when J-Boy and his fellow Vikings might strike. A robbery incident that took the life of the owner of a popular hotel in Ugep known as House 27 Hotel was allegedly linked to J-Boy and his group. The community was gripped by a sense of hopelessness, as J-Boy's exploits seemed to go unchecked. His notoriety had grown to the point where even the mere mention of his name sent shivers down the spines of Ugep's residents. They lived in a state of constant anxiety, their daily lives overshadowed by the specter of J-Boy's brutality. Rumors of his involvement in the bloodiest confraternity battles only added to his fearsome reputation. It was said that J-Boy and his fellow Vikings would stop at nothing to assert their dominance, leaving a trail of destruction and chaos in their wake. The people of Ugep could only watch in horror as J-Boy's legend grew, his name becoming synonymous with terror and intimidation. As the Viking executioner continued to tighten his grip on Ugep, the community remained trapped in a cycle of fear and violence. J-Boy's ruthless ambition seemed to know no bounds, and his alleged crimes had created a sense of hopelessness that threatened to consume the very fabric of the community. The question on everyone's lips was, would anyone be brave enough to stand up to J-Boy and put an end to his reign of terror? A bitter power struggle emerged within the Viking ranks, as J-Boy, the notorious executioner, faced a formidable challenge from Arikpo 007, a ruthless and cunning Viking member. The seeds of discord were sown when Arikpo vehemently disagreed with J-Boy on several critical issues, including his refusal to relinquish his position as Viking executioner, despite allegedly overstaying his tenure. Furthermore, Arikpo took umbrage with J-Boy's questionable methods of distributing the spoils of their robberies, accusing him of consistently taking the lion's share and denying his fellow Vikings their rightful dues. This perceived injustice ignited a deep-seated resentment within Arikpo, who felt that J-Boy's actions were not only unfair but also threatened the very fabric of their Viking brotherhood. As the rift between J-Boy and Arikpo deepened, the Viking community became increasingly polarized, with some members pledging their allegiance to Arikpo, while others remained loyal to J-Boy. The internal conflict escalated, with both factions engaging in intense and bloody skirmishes, resulting in significant losses on both sides. In a bold and audacious move, Arikpo declared J-Boy's traditional authority null and void, proclaiming himself the new Viking executioner. However, in a calculated attempt to avoid an all-out mutiny, Arikpo stopped short of officially deposing J-Boy, choosing instead to bypass the traditional Viking protocol, which required J-Boy's explicit consent, symbolized by his thumbprint, to relinquish his position. By doing so, Arikpo cleverly exploited a loophole in the Viking tradition, effectively rendering J-Boy's authority obsolete, while avoiding the risks associated with a direct and potentially bloody confrontation. This strategic maneuvering set the stage for a prolonged and brutal power struggle, as J-Boy and his loyalists vowed to resist Arikpo's coup, sparking a violent and devastating conflict that would ultimately determine the fate of the Viking community. The bitter feud between Arikpo and J-Boy had reached a boiling point, with Arikpo and his loyal Viking followers launching a vicious attack on J-Boy's family home. Their intention was clear, to capture J-Boy and send a brutal message. However, J-Boy was nowhere to be found, and in a twisted display of cruelty, Arikpo's men dragged J-Boy's father out of the house and subjected him to a merciless beating with machetes. The humiliation of his father proved to be the final straw for J-Boy, who vowed to never relinquish his position as executioner until he had taken Arikpo's life. Arikpo, undaunted by the threat, continued his relentless pursuit of J-Boy, while J-Boy and his squad similarly sought to track down Arikpo. The conflict escalated on April 20th, when J-Boy and his men launched a surprise attack on Arikpo's alleged hideout. Although they managed to kill one of Arikpo's loyalists, J-Boy's ultimate goal of eliminating Arikpo remained elusive, as Arikpo was not present at the hideout. Arikpo, however, swiftly learned of the attack and seized the opportunity to strike back. As J-Boy and his men navigated the streets, Arikpo and his followers lay in wait, launching a deadly ambush. In the ensuing chaos, Arikpo shot J-Boy and his loyal companion, Solo. J-Boy's lifeless body slumped into a nearby gutter, his blood flowing profusely as he succumbed to his injuries. Solo, too, met a tragic end, leaving Arikpo victorious but wary of the consequences. With J-Boy eliminated, Arikpo became the undisputed executioner, but his reign was short-lived. As the police intensified their search for him, Arikpo was rumored to have fled the community, abandoning his position and leaving behind a trail of bloodshed and betrayal. The Viking community was left to pick up the pieces, forever changed by the brutal conflict that had ravaged their ranks. As a young person, you have a bright future ahead of you, filled with promise and possibility. But cultism can destroy all that in an instant. The harsh reality is that as a cultist, you're not even safe from your own fellow members. Power struggles and rivalries can turn deadly, and you could find yourself caught in the crossfire. Don't risk your life for a false sense of belonging or power. Cultism is a dead-end path that leads to destruction, not empowerment. Choose life, choose peace, and choose a future free from the shackles of cultism. Say no to cultism and yes to a brighter tomorrow.